Hey, did you hear the one about the monk who took a vow of silence? Now, every year he could say just one sentence. Now, I heard this joke from my wife. It was just hilarious. I'm not going to tell you the rest of the joke. This is not a joking matter. What I want to tell you about is this adventure that we're engulfing in order to complete the next documentary called Earth Battles, How Old Is It? Volume 2. Now, if you're interested, hopefully you are, we have completed, as of a year or so ago, Earth Battles, How Old Is It? Volume 1. This is about the Grand Canyon, and I highly recommend it. So in this story, we're going to be heading to Mount St. Helens, and it's a fascinating place. Let me just give you a quick summary of what happened. On Sunday, May 18, 1980, at 8:32 a.m., there was an earthquake. It's a 5.1 magnitude earthquake. And this began a massive mudslide. The northern portion of Mount St. Helens started collapsing. It went to the left, northwest, and then also straight ahead. It reached a speed of 250 miles per hour. While it was moving, explosions happened. A massive steam blast raced down the mountain. It went in that same northerly direction. It completely wiped out the trees. It was traveling at 700 miles per hour. That's like faster than most jet airplanes, commercial jet airplanes. It wiped out all of the trees. I'm sure you've seen pictures of the trees and how they were laid down. So first there was the earthquake, and then the mudslide, and then the steam blast. The steam blast overtook the mudslide. As the mudslide carried the material down the mountain, it went off to the west, and it went straight ahead right into Spirit Lake. It lifted Spirit Lake 200 feet. It created a tsunami up to 800 feet and covered over the area hills. Some of the water went over the hills, expanding some of the lakes on the other sides. While the steam blast had knocked down all these trees, some were torn off. So the roots are still in the ground, and the tree was just literally ripped right off. Others, the trees were ripped out with the root ball, and you have the entire tree. The whole area was just completely blanked down. It was like, you think of it as like a nuclear explosion. The tsunami came around the hills, creating a vortex, and brought the trees that had just been knocked down back into the lake. The lake has now been lifted 200 feet. The lake has expanded to twice its size, and it is an amazing story. Now, what I've just told you has been told numerous times in a variety of documentaries. This story will be in our documentary as well, but we also want to talk about some of the other geological features that has happened and that has become known as a result of Mount St. Helens in 1980. We are going to be, in our trip with my friend, we're going to be heading to Mount St. Helens, and we're going to be in a boat like this. And we're going to be using an underwater drone. And that drone is going to go under and about 100 feet and be able to see what is happening below Spirit Lake as of, since 43 years ago. And so this is an amazing opportunity for us to explore Spirit Lake. Spirit Lake is fairly large, miles in each direction, and we're going to be spending several days there. We're also going to be, on the trip back, we're going to be going to Yellowstone and surveying Specimen Ridge, where there's petrified trees. We'll also have plans to go to Gillette, Wyoming, and take a tour of the coal mine there. In that area of Gillette, Wyoming, there is what's called the Powder River Basin. The Powder River Basin is like 200 miles in one direction and 100 miles in the other direction. It is vastly deep. There's various levels of coal. And so the question arises, how does all this coal get formed? Is it formed over millions of years, 60 million years in a quiet, placid sea? Or is it more likely to have been formed like in a situation with Mount St. Helens, in a catastrophic situation, but then you expand it to worldwide, where, according to the Bible, we have the flood. It's a worldwide catastrophic flood. And so these are all things that we're going to be talking about. Shortly, I'm going to also be going to a conference where I'll be interviewing a variety of scientists, talking to them about Mount St. Helens, Spirit Lake. We'll be talking to them about volcanoes in general, petrified trees, as well as coal and coal formation. What do we know about coal? So what I want to say is that the geology of Mount St. Helens is very important to understanding the world around us geologically. Where do these rocks come from? Where do the layers come from? How is it that we have flat layers? One of the things that we're planning to do on this trip to Mount St. Helens is we're hiring a helicopter pilot and helicopter to take us into an area called the Little Grand Canyon. We won't be in the canyon, we'll be above it, and we'll be filming that area and showing the multiple layers of this canyon. And we'll also be identifying when those layers were made. But one of the things that's especially important in this particular topic is that the layers are flat. They're not always flat. There is some erosion now since, but it's just fascinating when you compare Mount St. Helens and the layers there to the layers at the Grand Canyon. When you look around the Grand Canyon, you can clearly see the flat layers. How is it that that the layers can be flat, and that the uniformitarian, the evolutionary long age uniformitarian view would say that these layers were laid down over many, many millions of years? How could they possibly be flat? If there's many, many millions of years, there had to be erosion. And so with each layer, there would be ups and downs and gullies, and just like when we see the tops of mountains, we see all sorts of jagged images. That's what those layers should look like. They should not be flat if the layers were formed over many millions of years. So this is a story we want to tell. If this is something that you're interested in and you're interested in helping us get this message out, I ask that you would support our ministry. We're looking for $6,000 to help us with this particular couple of trips that we're doing, with the conference, which is fairly expensive, as well as then going to Mount St. Helens and the helicopter and all the various things we're trying to do. We're just trying to raise $6,000, and it's going to take more than that in order to complete the documentary, but that's our goal for this particular project. And very much appreciate your watching and taking the time to listen to what I have to say. God bless.